USCJ? It's your boy Jaquin. Really appreciate what you're doing for USC culture, man. Go on.
Going on, shout out USCJ, man. Appreciate the support.
Shout out to USCJ. You know what it is. Nothing but love, man.
From the bottom of my heart, that our USC Trojans are going to fly out to Eugene, Oregon and get the job done. So I'm going to discuss my 10 reasons on why USC matches up very well against Oregon and why we defeat the Ducks at their home turf. So let's jump right into this and let's discuss and unpack this matchup. Now, keep in mind, this is my very biased opinion, but based on my eye test and from what I've seen from the tendencies and a lot of experience and a little bit of historical data, I feel very confident about our matchup. There is a quiet kind of storm brewing behind the eyes of our Trojans. I've been really paying attention to the mood and temperament of this team, from the coaching staff all the way down to the walk-ons. Everybody has a calm and collected, quiet confidence about what we're going to do this weekend in Eugene, Oregon. It kind of reminds me of when we were matching up with Michigan, where most of the country said we weren't physical enough. We didn't have enough firepower. We were too inexperienced. They were going to run down our necks, so forth, so on. And we saw how the outcome of that game ended up. Now, the caveat is we do go away to play Oregon this season versus Michigan. We did play them here at home in the Coliseum. And statistically, we've been a lot more efficient playing at home on our own turf. That's why one of my key factors to why we will be victorious is because of the law of percentages. Eventually, human nature does kick in, and we will find ourselves in slap dab in the middle of a fast and furious start for one of these one of these away games that we're playing this season. So why not let it be right now against these Oregon Aflacs? No shade. But let's jump into it. So reason number one, I believe that our number 15th ranked USC Trojans are going to take down the number 7th ranked Oregon Ducks is because Jaden Maiava is playing championship level football. It is far and exponentially greater than the types of output that we had last season. With where we were at this phase last year, Jaden was still a little bit of a head scratcher sometimes, but he has established such a command of this offense. He has such poise and composure with how he's leading the team that everybody feels confident, because I believe how Jaden goes, that's how our team goes. I mean, he's been stacking up elite level numbers all season. His accuracy in the intermediate game, his smart decision making, his mobility, his ability to take the ball, tuck it, get those powerful yards that we need when the pocket is ugly or when the pocket collapses. I mean, the dude is legitimately unfazed by pressure. He's already been in multiple hostile environments, from Notre Dame in the terrible weather up there, Nebraska, where they had a whole blackout game and that stadium was rocking. Purdue was hostile up there where it was like a blackout or something, or lightning storms. So I don't think that traveling to Oregon is going to rattle Jaden Maiava very much. He already has experience in these types of environments, and I think that composure is going to matriculate down to the rest of the team. So it's pretty great, and I feel confident that we have a quarterback that can force Oregon to keep both safeties honest. And that's what I really love about him, because with how he can tuck the ball in his RPO game, how he holds the ball in the pocket, how he can actually escape the pocket, that forces sometimes aggressive edge rushers to slow down, slow play things. And I just believe that Jaden Maiava is going to be able to put these linebackers from Oregon in conflict. And suddenly you'll notice that the field is flipping in our advantage. So reason number one, Jaden Maiava, his composure, the experience that he's developed all season long is going to pay dividends for us to go into this hostile environment in Oregon. Reason number two, I believe that our wide receiver core is an absolute nightmare matchup. I know that Oregon right now has a top 3 ranked defense and something like a number 1 ranked secondary. That's fine. That's fine and dandy. But what I will tell you is none of those teams have the elite level pass catchers that USC presents to them. And so with that being said, you have a Biletnikoff finalist in Mekhi Lemon. You have arguably a top 5 wide receiver, top 10 for sure. Jacoby Lane, he's healthy. He's a 50-50 ball nightmare. There's no such thing as a 50-50 ball with Jacoby Lane. It's literally 80-20. He's going to get it if you put it up there. And I just don't believe that Oregon secondary has seen the types of diversity that both of these receivers pull out. Like Mekhi, he's always open and he creates separation in so many ways. Oregon secondary has just they've never had to deal with a diverse player that can play in the slot, that the way Lincoln Riley moves Mekhi all around, he lines him up in the backfield, he motions him, he runs him out wheel routes, he has those seam routes. There's all sorts of variations between how Mekhi can strategically create space. And when you have to focus on Mekhi, that means you might have to leave Jacoby one-on-one. And that's a nightmare as well, because Jacoby has a distinct height advantage over most secondary players that Oregon could even think to match up with him. Also, I'm not sleeping on Tanuk Hines. Like I said in another video, that kid has the ability to take the top off of any defense. His vertical speed, his linear attack mode, and his downfield threat ability is going to be very high. And I think that the way he could create space with how violently he attacks the field is going to be something that puts Oregon's secondary in extreme conflict. And there is historic data to support that Oregon struggles with elite level receivers. And we're going to get to that another point. So reason number two, just to reiterate, our wide receiver core versus their defense, specifically their corners. I don't think that is much of a matchup, no matter how much the statistics show that Oregon has an elite level secondary. Yeah, they haven't played against the USC Trojans yet. Reason number three, King Miller. These are not like mind-blowing reasons, but I'm going to tell you why I'm saying King Miller. He's so smooth. He's so steady. He's a formidable runner because he just takes his time and he chips away. He chips away. And I believe he's going to be the X factor that most people really aren't considering. I don't think that King Miller has the stored up trauma from playing in that stadium to recognize how tough it is. I believe he's going to go out, play fast, play free, and hit that burst because he's got this unique balance of patience and physicality. And then he's got some breakaway and pretty high level speed for how big he is. I think that his level of physicality on the offense with accompany that with the offensive line just punishing the defense, and how how their defensive ends fly up the field and how their nose tackles fly up the field. I believe that that the patience of King is going to be able to the defense, and how how their defensive ends fly up the field and how their nose tackles fly up the field. I believe that that the patience of King is going to be able to find and pick his way, and he will be able to exploit some of those over pursuits that I've seen on film that Oregon has put out there. So I do think that there are going to be some running lanes for King to really exploit against the Ducks. And if we get out ahead of these guys, that's going to be a valuable asset so we can chew up some of that clock and kill the time of possession so we can take that crowd out of the game. So my reason number 3 is King Miller actually running in rhythm in tangent with our offensive line, taking advantage of the aggressiveness of a very talented defensive line that Oregon does have. However, I just believe that King is going to have another one of those breakout games. And this is a West Coast game. And I just believe that we're more suited to play against a team like this versus some of the other teams that we played that have different types of that traditional Midwest style defensive line. It's just my opinion. But reason number 4 is I'm piggybacking off of reason number 2. Reason number 4, our Trojans really take advantage of the Ducks and why we're going to win is because Jaden Maiava, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Lake McCree, Walker Lyons, Tanook Hines, and our entire tandem of ball catchers, let's say specifically the wide receivers. Oregon customarily lays an egg. These Ducks lay an egg whenever they are forced to face NFL caliber wide receivers and tight ends. Every time. Let's go back to, let's say, 2023 against Michael Penix. Remember, Washington Huskies tore these dudes apart. It was just their receiving core. They had a trio of receivers plus the tight end that was just eaten against Oregon's defense. We can even talk about last season, Ohio State. The wide receivers dominated Oregon in space. Oregon gets really handsy. They like to hold, they like to grab. So as soon as you get those guys playing out of sync and out of rhythm and get them on their heels with all the multiple threats that we can create in the vertical passing game, Oregon really does struggle with elite level wideouts. And I'm going to say a case record of Washington in 23, Ohio State in 24, and now in 25, Indiana gave them fits with Surratt and Cooper. And I believe that both of those are NFL caliber wide receivers. Outside of, everyone else that Oregon has played, every time they play against top level, high level wide receivers, they struggle. And I will argue that none of the receivers that they played, even in the last 3 years, have the same attributes, ability, skill sets, and danger factor than Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Tanook Hines, Lake McCree. We have all of the ingredients to make sure that we force Oregon to do what they customarily do, which is fumble when it comes to big level, high level games, protecting their home versus NFL caliber talent, NFL wide receivers. That's my 4th reason why I know we're going to win, because this is always a letdown spot with Oregon. I can guarantee it. I can actually guarantee it, especially with Makai being a Biletnikoff finalist. Yeah, these DBs have never had to play against sauce like that at this phase of the season. All right. The 5th reason why we're going to get the win against Oregon is there are certain defensive matchups. I like the way our edges pressure. So we're going to win because the way Oregon's offense orchestrates their running attack, they like counters just like we do. We are very accustomed to playing against counter. That's one of our primary offensive run schemes. So I just know that our D-line has a lot of confidence with that type of an offensive rushing attack. Now, these Ducks do have 3 really, really elite running backs. I love all 3 of these guys. I really respect those running backs quite a bit. I just don't think that in this type of a game, our team is going to allow this moment to get away. And so we will be able to take advantage of these matchups. And during this season, there have been spurts where our defensive line has created ridiculous amounts of pressure. I mean, when we get home and when we get up the field, we cause a lot of havoc plays is what they're called in the backfield. And with Dante Moore being off rhythm, with the running backs not being able to customarily get there 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a pop, I just think that it's going to force Oregon to do some things that customarily offensively they don't like to do. Now they average about 38. I believe they're averaging about 39.2 points per game, but they haven't played defenses that are really that formidable, in my opinion. And I believe that we keep Oregon under 30 points. We're winning this game. We keep Oregon around that 28-point range. We're definitely going to win this game. And we're going to win it easily. So the defensive matchups, the pressure and the edges creating a lot of disruption, keeping Dante Moore off timing, off rhythm, that's how we're going to get the dub. And that's the 5th reason why. The 6th reason is special teams. Our kicking game has been very stout for us all season long. Our punters are sometimes, a couple of punts in the season weren't as ideal, but when it matters, he has pinned our opponent deep into their zone, which flips the field and gives us a nice field advantage, especially when our defense could take advantage of that. And Ryan Sairi, I mean, he's been remarkable. Lights out with his kicking, super dangerously accurate. And I just know that when we have the ability to put points on the board by any means necessary, we just got to get it. And I'm going to tell you, Oregon's field goal kicker has struggled this season. He has not been the most accurate all season long. So that is something that I know that we do have a distinct edge in. And it's something that I'm confident we'll be able to exploit. So the 6th reason why is our special teams. And I think we're due for a breakout return. I believe that Makai, Tanuk, whoever's back there on kickoff return is going to electrify the crowd and shock everyone, because we haven't had a very explosive kickoff return all season long. And this is the week where it happens. This is the week where our special teams scheme something up that they haven't seen all season, and we take advantage of it because, like I said, their kicker doesn't always kick it through the back of the end zone either. So we're going to have some opportunities in the return game that I believe we'll be able to take advantage of. So the 6th reason why we're going to get this win is because we're going to have an explosive kickoff return, something very explosive in the special teams game. And I just know it. There's some hidden yards in there that the country's not accounting for that I'm confident that our coaching staff is. All right. The 7th reason why we get the W against Oregon is the coaching staff. Everybody says Dan Lanning has the greatest coaching staff in the Big Ten Conference and all that. Personally, I believe there is no one greater than our staff. The W against Oregon is the coaching staff. Everybody says Dan Lanning has the greatest coaching staff in the Big Ten Conference and all that. Personally, I believe there is no one greater than our staff. Lincoln Riley is playing chess. And the way he's just been cool, calm, and collective, wearing his hat backwards, he just has like this kind of like this feeling that I know something you don't know. And personally, I believe that Lincoln is when he's in his bag, he's one of the best in-game adjusters in all of college football. And I know this, that if Oregon overplays the run, he's going to turn it into an RPO that will create some type of very explosive play with his play calling. And if they back off, that type of thing can really put safeties in conflict. If they crowd the line, he's going to figure out a way how to mix and match and create layers in the passing game that just complements what Jaden Maiava can do so skillfully. So I believe that Lincoln Riley and all of the types of gadget plays that he can cook up are going to be a huge X factor in this game, and we're going to catch Oregon on their heels. And this is a letdown spot for the Ducks. This really is. They're coming in very confident. I've been reading things online where these Ducks feel like we're no match for them. Yes, they do respect the matchup, but they believe that they are the superior team, and that is going to be the reason why we're going to have Duck a la carte at the end of this game. So my seventh reason is because Lincoln Riley is going to outcoach these guys along with the defensive staff, and Coach Lynn is going he's going to surprise somebody. He's going to surprise somebody with what we do on this defense. Reason number 8, the Vegas odds say that Oregon is going to win. USC currently is a minus 10-point underdog, something like that. Like, I think the Ducks are a 10-point favorite. So that means Vegas really expects a comfortable win for the Ducks. And that is exactly why I believe that the pressure and the expectation for them to win and the burden of performance is all on them. I believe that that's going to force Dante Moore to make mistakes. I believe that that's going to force them to kind of feel that pressure in that home crowd environment. I think that we're going to take advantage of the fact that everyone is underestimating us, including Vegas. I love it when a team is a big favorite against us and we have the opportunity to be the underdog, and we're just either we jump out on top early and we start sprinting away from them, or we're just hanging around. We keep socking them in the face. They punch us, we sock them back. They crack us, we uppercut them back. And it's all game long. You start to see a home team start to wither a little bit because they're shell shocked that, wow, those weak, soft Trojans are hanging out with us or they're beating us. And then you get those guys to press, and that's when we take advantage of the untimely decisions that I know Dante Moore will make when he is trying to play hero ball. This is going to be a prime reason why we get this W, because the Vegas odds and the whole rest of the country swears that the Ducks are going to defeat the Trojans. And I think we got something to say about that. All right. The 9th reason that we get this dub is we have no choice. It's win or go home. If we have 3 losses, we're not going to the playoffs. The season would still feel like a success overall, but it will be a heartbreaking way to end the momentum that we've created. We have the opportunity to do what most people in the nation believe we cannot do. And I'll be honest, I like us in that spot. This is, I don't want to say a desperation game, but there's a great deal of significance. This game is as important as any game that I can think of in recent history. I believe it's bigger or as big, if not bigger, just because of the matchup and the way the teams match up. But it feels bigger than that Pac-10 championship game, or the Pac-12, championship game that we had against Utah, where Caleb Williams pulled his hamstring, and that took us out of the playoffs. This one feels a little bigger than that. This one feels like we're fighting for recruits. It feels like we're fighting for respect. We're fighting to win back the West Coast. And I know that our Trojans understand the assignment. So then the 9th reason that we're going to win this game is because failure is not an option. My 10th and final reason why I believe we're going to win this game, it's a little bit of a sneaky reason, but it's because we have a great deal of familiarity with their personnel, especially some of the key contributors on their personnel. 3 of their primary starters were once former Trojans. That's huge. In Emmanuel Pregnon, their tackle, Bear Alexander, who was once a nose tackle for us, and Gary Bryant Jr., who was a starting wide receiver for us at one point. I know that our defensive line knows just how Emmanuel Pregnon anchors. They know what his hand placement is. They know his tails. They know what annoys him. They know all of his nuances, and they understand how to get under that skin. So I'm really excited to see how our tackles and our ends, our backers fit him up and make sure that we give him a nice Trojan a nice bit of Trojan gratitude. Let me just leave it at that. Bear Alexander. Our O-line has had arguably hundreds, if not thousands of reps against him. Yes, players evolve, players move forward, they're in a different system, but I'm confident that our guys know exactly who he is. I think Bear's an awesome kid. I think he's an awesome person. I like him and Emmanuel Pregnon as people, and I have this saying and belief that once a Trojan, always a Trojan. But right now, you're across enemy lines, and you jumped off the ship to go, swim with somebody else. So with that being said, I believe that our squad understands the tendencies, the patterns, the techniques of the guys that we're playing against, and we will be able to isolate and exploit some of those things. Our coaches know how to coach against those players. There's, again, a great deal of familiarity. Now, I don't know if Gary Bryant Jr. is going to be healthy for this game. I wish him the very best, but I will say this. If he's out there, our secondary is very comfortable with covering a guy who they've had a lot of experience with over 3 years. And here is my biggest number one X factor in this matchup. Our very own defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn, used to be the coach for the starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, Dante Moore. Now, although he didn't coach him as a position group, he had to coach against him. So I believe that this is the biggest, most hidden edge and the single most powerful advantage that we have going into this weekend is defensive coordinator Danton Lynn understanding Dante Moore's patterns, tendencies, techniques, abilities. He knows his timing windows. He knows the coverages that forces him to hesitate. He knows the blitz looks that makes him uncomfortable. He knows how to force a nice bit of Trojan gratitude. Let me just leave it at that. Bear Alexander. Our O-line has had arguably hundreds, if not thousands of reps against him. Yes, players evolve, players move forward, they're in a different system, but I'm confident that our guys know exactly who he is. I think Bear's an awesome kid. I think he's an awesome person. I like him and Emmanuel Pregnon as people, and I have this saying and belief that once a Trojan, always a Trojan. But right now, you're across enemy lines, and you jumped off the ship to go, swim with somebody else. So with that being said, I believe that our squad understands the tendencies, the patterns, the techniques of the guys that we're playing against, and we will be able to isolate and exploit some of those things. Our coaches know how to coach against those players. There's, again, a great deal of familiarity. Now, I don't know if Gary Bryant Jr. is going to be healthy for this game. I wish him the very best, but I will say this. If he's out there, our secondary is very comfortable with covering a guy who they've had a lot of experience with over 3 years. And here is my biggest number one X factor in this matchup. Our very own defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn, used to be the coach for the starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, Dante Moore. Now, although he didn't coach him as a position group, he had to coach against him. So I believe that this is the biggest, most hidden edge and the single most powerful advantage that we have going into this weekend is defensive coordinator Danton Lynn understanding Dante Moore's patterns, tendencies, techniques, abilities. He knows his timing windows. He knows the coverages that forces him to hesitate. He knows the blitz looks that makes him uncomfortable. He knows how to force panic. And more importantly, because he coached them, he understands the mechanics to force Dante to be off rhythm, off timing, and to hopefully get Dante Moore's technique to drift. Now, we do, in my opinion, have to keep him in the pocket because Dante Moore, against popular belief, he's more accurate when he's on the move, when he's on the run. He throws the ball with greater efficiency. But when he's forced to stay in that pocket, he struggles. He struggles with guys, pushing back into his lap and chopping down at his knees and diving at his legs to take him out, or getting hands in his throwing lanes where you're face to face with him. And I believe that Coach Lynn fully, fundamentally understands exactly what to do to put pressure on a guy like that. And yes, he only coached him as a freshman when he was at UCLA, and he's got more development at Oregon. But yeah, it's hard to cover up those old warts, you know? So personally, I believe that this isn't just an advantage that we have with Coach Danton Lynn understanding Dante Moore. I believe it's one of our greatest cheat codes. So those are my 10 reasons why I'm very confident that our USC Trojans are going to go and defeat the Ducks this weekend. To me, some of the ideal matchups are Jaden Maiava versus Oregon secondary. Basically, if they gamble, he will punish them. If they sit back, he'll slice and dice them up. I believe that our Biletnikoff finalists, Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane versus the corners, advantage USC by a ton. I don't care how great those secondary players are. The weather looks like it's going to be great. I'm confident we can air the ball out. And I know that these guys have not been challenged vertically all season long. And it's time we see if those Ducks actually do know how to fly. I also think that King Miller's going to have an outstanding game. He's going to have a breakout game against their defensive tackles because they come up the field really aggressive, and he has just enough patience and just enough first step to burst through that first layer. And I just think that the way we've been blocking out there on the perimeter with our receiving core, that we're going to create some large chunk runs and really take the air out of that stadium in a lot of ways. I don't think that Oregon is going to actually match up with us very great at all for the long run in the game. Yes, they will have their moments. They're a talented team, but I believe that we're just going to wear on them and wear on them and wear on them. And then I also think an ideal matchup for us is our edge rushers against their tackles. I think our speed is phenomenal, especially if we play some of the stunts that we've recently been playing. They're going to underestimate us, and I have this funny belief about how Cam Crawford, Anthony Lucas, Braylon Shelby, heck, I wouldn't mind seeing Elijah Newby get in there with his speed. Jakeem Stewart. I saw Floyd Bacard come back last week against Iowa. Keyshawn Silver looks like he's healthy. We got Jedi Adversary. We got Dev Tompkins. Like we look like we're about to go feast on these Ducks. That's what it looks like. And I'm just excited about that. So those are some ideal matchups for us. The game breaker of game breakers, the X factor of all X factors is Jaden Maiava. He's just got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy to carry us, to bust it loose, play calm, play collected, take all the experience, all the hostile environments, all the negative commentary, all of the stuff that you've endured this year right now, summon it up, package it up, and deliver this game. Run the ball, throw the ball, read the field, make timely decisions, put stress on the secondary, put stress on the defensive line, put stress on the linebackers. Most importantly, protect the football, give Oregon nothing to celebrate, and offensive line has to protect Jaden. We have to play one of the most sound games. Don't allow the crowd noise to impact us. No screaming fans forcing us to jump off sides. Play within ourselves. We've already had a taste of multiple hostile environments, particularly in Nebraska, Notre Dame. Those were very, very hostile places that should have given us the reps that we need to stay calm and composed, right? And so I just know that because Oregon is such a favorite for this game, that we can go out and play with a level of freedom and almost recklessness that I don't think that they can mess with. The receivers' familiarity is a huge edge for me. The fact that our receivers are familiar with how to defeat any type of secondary players And the fact that these secondary guys haven't had to go against receivers like ours, that is a clutch component of this particular matchup that I'm very excited for. So with that being said, my final prediction for this game is I believe USC gets the win 31, Oregon 28. And those are my 10 reasons plus a little bit of extra commentary on why I believe and why I know that our USC Trojans are going to be victorious, take that next step to dominance, reach the college football playoff, one step closer to reaching the college football playoff. After we handle these Ducks, we go beat up on those teddy bears, and we go hit the CFP and do our thing for the first time since Lincoln Riley got here. First time ever, actually, that we'll be in the playoffs. So I'm real fired up about that. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Fight on, fight on, fight on. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and show USCJ some love because that's our big brother, and we love him. All right, fight on, Trojan fam. Let's get those Ducks.